What's going on, agents? Busy with another Division 2 video. Today, we'll be going back into a damage build and making some minor tweaks that made a big difference for me, and if you check it out, probably for you, in Conflict and the Dark Zone. As always, if you're new here or have been around since the invention of the wheel, you are welcome here. I had a bit of a creative block this week, but getting these videos out to you, and even some of you pushing me to get them out, really means a lot. That you'd share a bit of your day on this channel. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, today is going to be the day. I hope you hit that like and subscribe button and join our little community we have here. While you ponder that, let's strap up, get a cool canned beverage of choice, and get down to it. Okay, so like I said, I had a bit of a creative block this week when pumping out the jams for you guys. Unlike every substitute teacher I ever had who would make it a movie day and phone it in, I decided to take a look at what I could change on my normal damage build just to spice things up a bit. You see, every time I jump into Conflict, it's a lot of the same. You see Adrenaline Rush Intimidate combos, the random Vigilance Unbreakable raid guy who's just along with friends, skill builds. It seems while the possibilities are endless with this game, we've dug ourselves into a bit of a rut. Sometimes all it takes is a little change to make a big difference, and that's what we set out to do. I wanted my enemies to feel the sting of defeat every which way as I wrecked their time in PvP. While it took some trial and error, I landed at swapping in Trauma to my build to see what happens. For those that are uninitiated, Trauma is a talent you could put on your chest piece. I know you're losing out on Intimidate, or even Unbreakable here, but hear me out. Trauma is going to apply bleed to any enemy hit in the body every 30 seconds. I mean, and that part's kind of meh, but stick with me. It's when you chrome the dome that things get interesting, as you'll blind your enemy with a headshot every 30 seconds too. Literally, if you've been wondering why your screen goes white sometimes, well, that's blind. And it sucks. Something also good to note on this talent, each of those status effects have their own cooldown of 30 seconds. So you could bleed and blind someone, or bleed one guy and blind the other. Who knows? The combos are endless. So now that we have our little change, let's take a look at what else we threw in this setup to make it a real menace to PvP. To start, we kick this off on the Gunner Specialization. This may be the first time I've brought Gunner into Conflict, but it won't be the last. The 10% armor on kill, a literal pun intended lifesaver. More importantly though, we go with the spec for the Banshee Pulse. As this build is going to be all about inconveniencing your enemies before killing them, this skill will be a huge asset in any agent's hands. Overall, this setup is a 4 red, 2 blue core with every attribute to red. We mix in a bit of weapon handling that comes in handy in the long run. For those that are new to the game or maybe don't know, weapon handling will give you a 1-for-1 bonus to your reload speed, weapon swap, stability, and accuracy. As we have 16% on this build, we will net 16% to all of those categories. Moving into the weapons, we start out at a Super 90, one of my favorite weapons in the game right now. Now this is going to come with the Fast Hands talent, which will grant a 4% reload speed bonus for every critical hit. That bonus is going to max out at a stack of 40 or 160% reload speed. Now, you might be thinking, this shotgun only has 8 shells in it. How are you going to use that talent to its full potential? Well, in creating this build, I learned that as long as you mid-reload, meaning you at least have 1 shell left in the tube, as long as you don't fully reload back to 8, you will keep stacking this bonus. Kinda neat, and in testing, I only got to 20 before I accidentally reloaded to full every time. Moving into the secondary, we landed the Eagle Bearer. It's funny, I've been leaning more on this weapon as of recent, but for this setup, it will be absolutely critical. See, one of the Eagle Bearer's talents is that it gets more accurate as it's continuously fired. This is really nice, as you're going to be going for headshots, not only to get the tenacity buff going and defer some damage over time, but also to blind your enemies with trauma. Moving into the gear bonuses, we'll start at the mask, where we chose to go with the Coyote's mask. I don't think I've really covered this apart from my Dark Hours raid walkthrough, so let's take a look at this to see why it's good for a setup like this. The Coyote's mask has a talent called Pack Instincts, where you and your team will get bonuses based on the distance of the last enemy that you, the player, hits. If you're short range, meaning 0 to 15 meters, you're seeing a 25% boost to crit damage. Mid-range, about 15 to 25 meters, you see a 10% bonus to crit chance and damage. Finally, long range, or basically never for me, but anything over 25 meters, you see a 25% bonus to crit chance. Now this bonus is for your whole team. I mean, what can I say? I'm a benevolent king of the crits, and I bring enough for the class. Heading to the chest, this is where we see Trauma get set up on a Grupo Sombra piece. So not only will we be making people blind or bleed, we're going to see a nice jump to our crit hit damage. Next, at the holster, we have a Seska brand set that will give us a bonus to crit hit chance. I wonder if the devs made the crit pieces the hardest to pronounce on purpose. I mean, let me know what you think of that. Or, if you could get Yannick or Trick to chime in, I would be forever grateful. Rounding the corner, we see an old familiar combo here of Fox's Prayer knee pads and Contractor gloves. Now, these pieces will give us bonuses to LMG and rifle damage, which will be totally useless. Now, what we put these on for are the bonuses to damage to armor and damage out of cover. I've tried to hide from it recently, but these are the best in slot pieces in the game. Absolutely no debate about it. Wrapping up the gear, we head over to the backpack, and here we go with the Fenris brand set to give that Eagle Bearer just a bit of a damage jump. We also equip Wicked as the talent. As you'll be applying status effects like a champ, this 18% damage for 20 seconds will almost always be there if you time your cooldowns within Trauma and your skills correctly. Outside of the gear and moving into the skills, we leave a free slot for your imagination to run wild. For me, I put a Bleed Hive because I like knowing where my enemies are, and around a cover, if a hive goes off, well, we know they're there. Let me know what you put on your left bumper skill, though, and show us how you build it. Let's get better together. Other than the free slot, running Banshee Pulse is a must on this setup. This skill will pulse the enemies in front of you and leave them disoriented. Having the ability to disorient for a few seconds can really turn the tide, and also potentially proc Wicked if you need. Overall, this setup is a quick update to any standard damage build. I gotta say though, I can't believe how much of a night and day difference running Trauma made. I don't think a lot of people were anticipating it, except for maybe the hazard protection crowd. But still though, as long as one of those status effects stick even for a second, you're gonna have a very nice damage output and help your team do the same with the Coyote's Mask. Either way, that's gonna wrap things up for today. I hope this video helps, and if there's something you're trying to get set up but having a hard time figuring it out, let's talk about it in the comments below, and let's get better together. One last reminder, hey, if you made it this far, I hope you take a second to like and subscribe for more Division 2 and Heartlands content on the horizon. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm going to catch you guys next time, though. Biz out.
I'm sending you a Specialization supply drop.
Drone detected. Serious trauma detected.